Hi guys, welcome back to the Small Barn Workshop. So it's been a few days since I released my initial view of the new Evolution R255 table saw. During that time the video's done really well and I've received an whole load of comments. So in this video I thought I'd address some of the questions that you guys have been asking over the last few days, and specifically for those of you who already have the Rage 5 and are considering upgrading to this new saw. And the first thing is the size. The R255 is a much smaller unit than the Rage 5. In fact, I've said in the past that for people with a really small shop, like when I had the small loft workshop, this saw, the Rage 5, is just too big. I think Evolution have struck a good balance here between the size of the Rage 5 and more compactness of this new unit. The Rage 5 in its stored position is nearly 900mm wide and 720mm deep, whereas the new unit is 670mm wide and 640mm deep. And whilst this new machine is smaller, the cutting capacity is the same. Now, because there's much more metal in the construction of the new saw, it feels much more robust. You've got this steel frame, there's more metal on the inside, and whilst this front face is also plastic, the actual inside runners here are all metal. In terms of function, the controls on the face are the same, but we've got a much better on-off switch. And we've got the nice little angle selector on this little wheel with the rack and pinion, and the blade iron lower mechanism is really smooth. The Rage 5 is constructed from a lot more plastic. We have the locking mechanism on the angle selector. We have the blade lowering and iron, which is certainly much stiffer compared to the new model, and we have a standard on-off switch. On the new saw, the internal mechanism is almost all metal, and there's easy access in there should you need to get in there for maintenance, adjustment or even cleaning. The drive gear for the raise and lowering mechanism is much improved on the new saw, with also some lateral adjustment should it be required to align the blade to the fence. Whereas the only way into the Rage 5 is actually to turn the thing upside down because it is fully enclosed. Away from mounting the Rage 5 on a trolley, carrying it is quite cumbersome as it's quite a big unit, whereas the more compact design of the R255 along with these carrying handles means you can carry it out to your van or your car or store it easily. Personally, I've never had any issue with the way that the Rage 5 fence works and its operation, but the rack and pinion design on the new saw has levelled the playing field with the competition. Now, one of the things I am struggling with at the moment with this saw is the riving knife. And to access that, you take off the throat plate, which is metal and solid. That's a very nice feature. You flip up this arm and you take the riving knife out, and I can't fault that. That's a really nice mechanism. However, the instructions do indicate that this riving knife can sit at two levels, the one that you currently see now and also where it's level with the top of the blade, and I can't seem to make on this model that happen. Now, I am speaking to Evolution and I wait their reply on how that mechanism works. The competition solved that problem by selling the saw with two knives, an high one and a low one, but the packing list within the instructions don't indicate a second riving knife. Now, another question I've received quite a lot is, will this saw take a dado blade? Well, I'm not sure it's designed to take a dado blade, but the arbor length is quite long. There is a good ½ inch, maybe even 5/8 there past the locking nut. So in theory you could get a dado blade on. Now, without wanting to sound all health and safety police here, the Woodworking Act 1974 does say that you should keep your crown guard on at all times. So machining over the top of the blade to create a groove or cut a rebate really shouldn't happen. In my mind, also goes for dado blades. You should keep your crown guard on and you should keep your riving knife on, which really means a dado blade shouldn't really work. And in my opinion, there is better ways to cut rebates and grooves than on a table saw. Look at the spindle moulder, look at a router. The throat plate, as I said, is metal, fits on very well. The screw is spring loaded, and there's also 4 adjustments for the height on grub screws where you can just drop a little Allen key through here, which is actually provided. It's locked into the body of the saw, and adjust the height. Now the other common question is the dust extraction better? And I certainly think it is, but I'm going to demonstrate this. I'll put some timber through the Rage 5 and I'll put some timber through this. And you'll see that the way that this saw is designed could considerably improve the dust extraction over the Rage 5. First of all, inside here, there's like a canvas bag that raises and lowers with the mechanism. So actually it's all encased. So the only way for dust to escape the saw compartment is either through the top or ejected through the port at the back. Whereas there is literally holes all over the cowl round the blade of the Rage 5. So much so that it's one of the biggest bugbears in my mind of the saw is that the cowl fills with sawdust that's not extracted properly. And then you can't retract the blade properly below the table light, and every now and again you've got to turn the whole thing over, take the cowl off, give it a good clean out and put it back together. It's a bit of a pain. Now just before I do cut some wood, let's just listen to the start stop on these saws. For a saw that supposedly doesn't have soft start, that seems very smooth. So let's cut 2 identical pieces of wood. Set the fence at about 40mm, and let's see what happens within the dust pot without dust extraction. The new saw ejects far more waste out of the back than the Rage 5 does. So I think once you actually plug your dust extraction port in and turn your vacuum on, you should get a lot more dust extraction. Also, when you look at the saw top, there's hardly any dust. That's the splatter pattern, if you like, of dust that's come off that cut. There isn't that much of it. When you look at the Rage 5, there's a lot more dust on the top. So your dust extraction system should be a lot more efficient with this new saw than with the Rage 5. So just addressing the elephant in the room, a lot of comments are saying this looks like a DeWalt or it looks like a Bosch. And you are right, it does look very similar to the DeWalt that I own that's in the next room. But I do know during Evolution's research and design phase, they talked to the customers a lot and said, what do you want? And I guess, I wasn't part of that, but I guess the customers say, I want a saw that has a rack and pinion fence system. And there it is. And because it's got a rack and pinion fence system, it looks like a DeWalt and it looks like a Bosch. And I think that's just the way that table saws are going. If you look at nearly all job site saws at the moment, they all pretty much look like this. But what I do know is when you compare this specification to the DeWalt or the Bosch, this is around about £300 cheaper. So you pay your money and you take your choices. At the moment, after owning this for 5 days now, it seems a great little saw. And based on the experience I've had with the Rage, I expect this saw will still be a great little saw in another few months. So there you go, guys. A really quick video on your question on this saw. Still keep firing your questions to me. If I can answer them, I will. When Evolution comes back to me on the riving knife question, I'll share that with you. And until next time, bye.